A genetically modified organism is when the genes of one species are inserted into the genes of another species. In traditional manner, you hybridize things, just selective breeding. With genetics, we can now force a combination, and sometimes we're using animal genes in vegetable products. And we've yet to find out what the long-term results of this splicing together of genetic material is, how it could run rampant in the environment, how it could influence other plants, influence the environment, or influence the people who consume such foods. My name is Ken Peters. I've been in the natural food industry for about 30 years, being a nutritional consultant, suggesting vitamins and supplements for about the last 25 years. I do product design, research and writing for NutriStart Vitamin Company and for Proline Nutrition. So I'm involved in the health and nutrition field, and I've done a lot of research in that field.
Why do we have genetically modified foods? The main argument is that genetically modified food will yield greater crops in order to feed the world's growing population. Is it safe to consume them?
I personally don't believe they're safe. I'm sure that the companies that produce these materials argue that they are safe, but there's very little required testing to approve a genetically modified food. There's no human testing, and there's only about 3 months worth of rat testing, just enough to get approval from the FDA in the US or the Health Protection Agency in Canada. As an unknown, I feel we should be erring on the side of caution, not releasing something into the environment that can run loose.
The long-term impacts of consuming these foods are unknown. According to the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, serious health risks have been detected as a result of consuming genetically modified food. We are the lab rats for the increased use of GMOs in our food. Government regulatory agencies are not tracking these foods for health problems. According to the Non-GMO Project, the crops that are most commonly genetically modified are corn, soy, cotton, canola, and sugar beets. In the United States, 90% of these 5 high-risk crops are genetically modified. Other foods often genetically modified include zucchini, yellow summer squash, papaya, alfalfa, and potatoes. So if we avoid these crops, are we eating GMO-free? It's not as easy as it seems. Take corn, for example. Genetically modified corn is not only what you see in the produce section. Do you recognize any of these ingredients? These ingredients are in our cereal, crackers, fruit juice, canned soup, and ice cream. 45,000 food products on store shelves contain genetically modified corn. That's nearly 80% of food on shelves. A handful of companies manufacture the majority of these foods. But it doesn't stop there. Genetically modified corn is in most animal feed. This means we consume it through non-organic meat, dairy, eggs, and farm fish. Just 4 companies control 83% of the meat supply. All of this is regulated by government agencies. Why does this matter? Because according to the Center for Responsive Politics, since 1998, the food and seed companies have collectively spent over $1 billion lobbying these government agencies to ensure they can continue to buy cheap, government-subsidized, genetically modified crops. This results in decreased production costs of the processed foods and meat that line our supermarket shelves. All of this stems from a small number of chemical and biotech companies, most notably Monsanto, that develop the genetically modified seeds. Most of these companies also produce the herbicides and pesticides needed for their crops to survive and thrive.
The first generation of GMO crops were designed to be resistant to pesticides, like soybeans resistant to Roundup. That allows Monsanto to sell more Roundup, which they also own. That also means you're going to get more pesticide residue when you eat those soybeans. It also turns out that Roundup builds up in the environment and passes on to the next generation of plants.
Monsanto spends nearly $9 million a year lobbying the government and controls 80% of genetically modified corn seeds. If GMOs are in almost all food, why are we unaware that we are consuming them?
Are you concerned about GMOs when you shop? Sometimes, if I'm not watching my budget.
I don't know.
Cellulose gel. Cellulose is on here too. That is also made from genetically modified organisms. So you can see a lot of the ingredients on here are made up from soy or corn, genetically modified into some sort of form to create that. So a lot of the content of that is corn and soy. All those ingredients that I just identified as GMOs, were you aware that they were GMOs?
No, not really, no.
Approximately 75% of North Americans are unaware that they are eating genetically modified food almost all the time. Unlike most developed countries, labeling GMOs in Canada and the United States is not required. Nearly 50 countries require labels on GMOs, including Australia, China, Japan, New Zealand, Russia, India, and all of the countries in the European Union. Many of them also have severe restrictions or bans against the production or sale of genetically modified food. Despite the lack of labeling in North America, consumers are becoming more aware of GMOs due to local initiatives.
And in Richmond, councillors there have passed a motion banning genetically modified food crops from being grown in the city. It's the first mainly agricultural jurisdiction in BC to do so.
Local efforts are being made to raise awareness about genetically modified foods and to promote GMO-free crops.
So we received a request to consider a proposal to ban genetically modified organisms, genetically modified crops in Saanich and make Saanich a GE-free zone. If we fall short of introducing a ban, one of the other possible options is education, awareness raising, and requesting better labeling of products, writing to CFIA, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Agriculture, both federal and provincial, and suggesting that proper labeling be included with all agricultural products, produce, so that consumers would at least be able to make an informed decision.
The more people are aware, the more people demand labeling of GMO foods from their governments, as there's quite a push in the US right now, the better chance we stand of at least getting a choice of what we consume.
Until the regulations around the use and labeling of GMOs are tightened, how can we know if what we are eating is genetically modified?
Once it's a single ingredient thrown into a bunch of ingredients, there's no real way to tell. The only real way to avoid it is to eat organic, because organic foods are not allowed to be GMO at this point in time, though they have tried to change that through lobbying. So far the organic lobby is held strong.
You can also look for the Non-GMO Project verified seal and use the Non-GMO Shopping Guide. The Non-GMO Project is a non-profit organization committed to helping consumers eat GMO-free by certifying products that pass independent testing. If it's not labeled organic or isn't Non-GMO Project verified, avoid products made with ingredients that might be derived from genetically modified crops. The most important thing is that we educate ourselves so we can make informed decisions about what we put in our body.